Fuck the Oscars, you know? Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you!
The movies, the internet stuff is so violent. It's so incredible.
I see worried about it just because the consumption of these violent video games has been going up continuously since the early 90s, and yet youth violence has been going down.
The juvenile crime statistics, which have gone down dramatically over the past 15 years, it really doesn't seem to bear what the American
You can pick up guns, knives. You can now choose to punch, kick, headbutt people, stab them.
And what's going on? Welcome to the welcome to the show, guys. How do y'all like our new look? Yeah, this is now the official new show look of Tuned In Live. What is going on, everybody? Like I said, welcome to the show. And of course, hey, there's our there's my co-host Cypher. What's up, man? Cypher, you are unmuted. And he's gone. Oh god, he must be having issues on his end. Alright, let me get him in here again. Cypher.
Can you hear me?
There he is. What's going on?
Not much.
I didn't think you were going to be in today. I figured you were busy with World of Warcraft and all. So, so today we got a couple interesting topics. We're going to probably fish some more into there. Like I said on our Twitter, guys, our Discord line is open. So if you guys would like to be a guest host, speaker, whatever on the show, please DM us on Twitter at ArrowOfficial17 or hit us up on Facebook.com/ArrowEncoded. So Cypher, you checked me out last night playing Mortal Kombat 11. What do you think about it so far?
To me, it feels like it's incomplete. Like, really incomplete.
That was my exact words on it last night from what I played. I felt a very incompleteness of it. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of characters in it. It just felt empty. Like,
I mean, the best one that I've seen with like almost all characters in it was Armageddon, even though it wasn't the greatest game, you know. But we originally thought that was going to be the last game in the series.
Yeah. And
you know, and that went all out originally.
Let's see. It's MK. Nah. God. My keyboard skills are. Come on. Will MK11 be the last Mortal Kombat game? People ask the same thing about MKX. No, it won't be the last game as long as it sells and it's popular. Damn. Just like you just said, there's actually part of the Reddit or different event from Armageddon. You mentioned that Armageddon was supposed to be the last one.
In Armageddon, you were even able to create your own character.
Yeah. Even this guy said, technically speaking, Armageddon would have taken place like 10, 15 years after Mortal Kombat 4. In the new timeline, it's been like 20, 25 years since Mortal Kombat 4. So, as you all, could tell, I did buy Mortal Kombat 11 yesterday. It was kind of taunting me, so I was like, yeah, fuck it. So I bought it, and I did a live stream on it. It's uploaded right now on our YouTube channel. Go check it out. I did about 2.5 hours of it, and I gotta say, I wasn't thrilled with it. I felt an empty feeling with it the whole time, and there was another thing, like, a lot of the little things, like the moves, the fatalities, they were, of course, recycled in there. It just, there wasn't anything there that wowed me about it. I didn't feel so wowed with the game. I wasn't, like, when we played Mortal Kombat 10, when that came out, we were all like, holy shit, Johnny Cage's fatality, here's Johnny, and all these other new, all these new fatalities that they introduced in Mortal Kombat X it blew us away. We were having immense fun with it. It just feels like they really didn't do a whole lot to improve on the game itself. I went through earlier and played the story, and of course I never really watched the cutscenes. I can watch those later on YouTube, and it took me not even 2 hours to beat the story if I skipped the cutscenes. And that's usually pretty short. Well, with the cutscenes, I'm pretty sure they add about another hour or two, worth of content. So you figure the story in the game is, I want to say maybe about 3 or 4 hours long, maybe close to 5. So you could do it in one sitting. If you're used to sitting for 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours, you can get through the story pretty quick. And another thing I noticed, I haven't tried it yet. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are online with it. Because you remember last night, I was trying to get into a online match, and I couldn't get anywhere. It wasn't loading up or anything. And I know those things kind of take time, but I guess maybe not too many people actually got the game. And I think there was something. Oh yeah, the microtransactions. Oh my god, let me talk about that real quick, and I'll get your input on it. So I was looking on Facebook earlier. It was either Facebook or Twitter, one of the two. I can't remember which. Somebody had calculated all the cosmetics in the game, and they said if you want to get all the cosmetic skins and everything for all the characters, you're going to spend about $4,664.
Good God.
That's fucking ridiculous. And somebody was like, God, and I thought, what was it, Dead or Alive? Was it the most recent one? Was it 6, I think?
I think it was 6.
Yeah, and they were like, I thought Dead or Alive 6 was bad. This is worse. You're going to spend close to $5,000 of real world money to buy everything in the game. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then I was looking on the store earlier. I didn't check everything out on the store, but I know the character Shao Kahn, he's in the game, but you got to purchase him. $4.99. It's either $4.99 or $5.99. It was $5 or $6. So I'm like, okay. So if I don't get the deluxe edition of the game, or if I don't pre-order, I still gotta I gotta buy one character from the store. And then of course they got the it's the combat pack. It's basically the season pass, $39.99. So I already shelled out $60 for the game. So you mean to tell me I gotta spend $40 extra for a season pass to get 6 new characters as they release over time, including 7 new skins and 7 of something else. I forgot what it was. And I gotta include an extra $5 or $6 for Shao Kahn. So I'm paying roughly $130 for this game in total right now. That is ridiculous. You know, we've talked about that quite a bit in the past with fighting games.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't even know if they're releasing anything else for Jump Force.
But you see, that was my biggest mistake, was Jump Force, because they hyped it, it looked great. Then it come out, it was half-assed, and it was nothing but an epic loading screen.
Yeah. And I noticed that when I streamed it, I was like, what the hell's with all these loading screens? I would sit here for like a minute and a half waiting to get in, and then I'd spend, about 20 minutes in the stream, like, bored out of my fucking mind, you know, just running around trying to figure out who to talk to, what to do, etc. And I'm like, fuck this, I'm going over to Crackdown.
Yeah, I remember that.
Have you played it at all ever since then? Or, hey, I don't know if you invested any more time into it.
No, I haven't touched it since.
Damn. I tried and I just couldn't do it. I was like, fuck, $60 wasted. But then again, as we grow up, you know, we've been gamers for so many years. We should learn that lesson right now, because back in the day with, you know, Nintendo and Sega, you know, when they were at their prime back then, even Atari, when you bought a $50, $60 game, you didn't have no reviews on it. You barely even had word of mouth about the game. You went out, you either bought the game or you rented it from like a Blockbuster or something. You took it home and you played it. It was a steaming pile of horse shit, and you're like, well, that's money wasted right there.
Yep.
So that's the norm when it comes to being a gamer. You know, you get what you pay for. Even nowadays with reviews online and YouTube, I think that's where I fail when it comes to wanting to purchase a game, where I want to avoid spoilers and anything at all with a certain game. Like, I know there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that have it to where, you know, they put videos out there. A lot of them are spoiler free, and they'll even tell you if they have spoilers in it. Sorry, hey, what's up, Wolf? What's going on, man? But you got these YouTube channels out there that, you know, like I said, they don't incorporate any kind of spoilers in them whatsoever. And I could sit there and watch these videos. I could say, okay, they're talking about the gameplay mechanics, the story, the characters, everything of that in the game. And I'm like, do I really want to... To me, in a way, you know, it's kind of a spoiler itself. Even if you're not spoiling the story for me, it's still kind of a spoiler to me because I want to experience the game itself. I don't want to watch any videos on it. But then you get the game, and it's like, it's a hit or miss. Is it going to be really good? Is it going to be mediocre? Is it going to be horrible? And of course, you know, you know, when you spend your money already on a game like that, rather than hearing a word of mouth and, you know, somebody saying, yeah, it's bad, don't fucking get it, you know, and it's like, shit. That's like with No Man's Sky. Everybody was talking about No Man's Sky when that came out. They were hyping it up, and people were like, oh yeah, it's pretty awesome for the first 2 hours. After that, that's boring as shit. So I never got it. Until Bane, you know, Bane bought it for Xbox, and they added so many new features to it, a multiplayer, and it made it much better, supposedly, than what it already was. And to me, I'm like, it's still
That's
boring.
the major problem, though, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
That's the major problem with the whole gaming community and, you know, the gaming business,
Mm-hmm.
you know, is... When we were growing up, here's what's making it wrong with the community right now, even though I still think this is majorly screwed up, is nowadays we expect a game to come out incomplete. Back when we were kids, we expected the game to be complete.
Yeah.
You know? And this is what bothers me, is they purposely release games incomplete just so they can milk it more. That's exactly what they do.
Yep, to profit off of the product.
And honestly, I'm tired of letting them get away with it.
Yeah. Because back in the day, when you bought a game, let's say, what's the shortest game out there? Let's say the Karate Kid. Alright, the Karate Kid on NES. That only had, 4 or 5 stages to it. And you could probably sit and beat it in under an hour. But it was a challenging game. Okay, yeah, it was challenging, but somebody, let's say, they mastered the controls, they mastered the gameplay, and they can just whiz right through it. Just like Super Mario Brothers. You know, not a whole lot of gamers, if you're streaming it, you're fucking speedrunning it. You can speedrun Super Mario Brothers in under 8 minutes. You know, I mean, there was some games back then, like The Legend of Zelda, Ghosts and Goblins, you know, those kind of games. They want to make sure you put some hours into those games, you know. They want to make sure you do get your money's worth out of it. And like you said, nowadays with games, you know, that incorporate DLC so they can profit more off the product, you know, to put more money in their pockets.
But
we're expecting...
My thing is, why can't they release a full, complete game, and then if they come up with an idea for it later, you know, release a DLC going, oh, hey, we came up with this great new adventure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be one thing.
That's like, look at Resident Evil 2 when it came out, and they did it justice, whether it's the original or the remake. They put plenty of content in there for you to work with, you know, like the original Resident Evil 2. Okay, they had all these extra game modes in there that you can unlock by, you know, beating the game multiple times and under, you know, multiple time lengths. And doing certain things, you know, like saving a game once or whatever. And then, of course, you know, you beat it, you open this mode, you open that mode, da-da-da. And I'm glad that, you know, certain companies and developers, they still follow that trend, you know, like the remake of RE2. I still feel it's kind of empty to me because they should have incorporated a extreme battle mode in there like they did the original, but maybe they still plan on in the future. But then they release some new DLC for it, to compensate a little bit for it, so it's like the game's not fully incomplete. You get a complete product, and you still got quite a bit in there to keep you busy. It's okay. I want to open up the Infinite Rocket Launcher. Okay, you got to beat the game on hardcore in under 3 hours.
See, that's a good example, though, is Resident Evil 2 was technically complete.
Yeah.
Because the actual story was complete.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, they added, the hunk mode stuff, the tofu mode and stuff was all DLC later that originally came with the original game. But still, it was mostly a complete game.
It was.
I mean, most games nowadays aren't even half complete before they release them.
Biggest example, some of these shooters, some of these first-person shooters like Battlefield and Call of Duty. A typical Call of Duty game, along with Battlefield, you expect to get a single-player story and a multiplayer. Now, games nowadays, sad to say, you have to install the games on a hard drive because the game files are big in size, depending on how much content is put into the game and how well the game looks and everything about the game. Everything in the game file is going to make up how big the file is. And, let's say Black Ops 4. People were upset a little bit because it didn't have a campaign. My biggest thing was, how can you call it Black Ops 4, if you don't have a campaign to continue from the last, the previous story? Why not call it something else? So the developers, they compensate like, okay, well, we're taking the story up, but we're adding a battle royale mode in there. Okay, that's all in good nature, but then I don't want to say it feels incomplete, but even like the multiplayer, some little things. Sometimes it's the littlest things that make a game more than what it already seems. And that's like my example with Mortal Kombat 11. It's the little things. Like, okay, Mortal Kombat X. It had a really decent roster. They added all these extra characters. Okay, it's nice to add the horror icons, the Xenomorph alien, Predator, Jason, etc. And you also got the iconic characters in there as well. So, this game comes out, and I'm like, where's Goro? Where's Ermac? Where's Cyrax? Where's all these other memorable characters? You couldn't add them. Not even a Shang Tsung. I mean, yeah, you see him in the story. That's a little spoiler, but that's bound to happen. You're going to see some of these characters in the story, regardless. I mean, you don't see Goro. You only see like remnants of him in the background of a map. But some of these memorable characters, it's like you can't even add them into the game. No, you got to force the consumer, the buyer, to pay out $40 extra to basically complete the game. I'm not playing real life economics here. It's like, okay, I'm buying a loaf of bread. I want to make a sandwich. I want to make a complete sandwich. This is a perfect example. You see this on social media. I want to make a sandwich that's complete. The best sandwich out there. What do I gotta buy? Okay, the main product is, of course, the bread. I need bread for my sandwich. But I'm also missing some other stuff. Here comes the DLC. Okay, here comes the cheese. That's an extra $3. Here comes the ham. That's an extra, $3 or $4 a pound. Here comes the lettuce or something, or whatever you want to put on there. That's basically what we get nowadays, and it's the norm, and you hate it, and I hate it, that this is the norm. Like, when we want a complete product, when we want to enjoy the product, but we don't have all the components there to make it complete. You got your base game, and it's like, okay, where's all this extra stuff at? You promised a big lineup. Oh, but there's more. You got to pay $40 extra for the season pass to get more characters. That's why games like, I believe, in my opinion, like Street Fighter V has failed me. Because when I bought that game, and it was very incomplete. You didn't have a whole lot of characters to play with. You didn't have an arcade mode. The multiplayer was broken for about a month or two. So I'm like, you're gonna release an incomplete game that's broken for $60. no, I'm sorry, we're gonna wait for it, you know. But then some of us, some of us or a lot of others are they get suckered into buying the product anyway and try to enjoy it for what it is. And that's the feeling I get with this new game. It's not just Mortal Kombat. It's not just fighting games in general. Certain ones. It's a lot of games that release nowadays. The whole DLC thing. It's nice to an extent, but like you said, put out DLC that is just a little niche to enhance the game a little bit better. Like if you enjoy the game as is and you feel it's complete, okay, bring out some DLC that maybe some players would like to see in the game that would be worth buying. Maybe a $5 or $10 DLC thing, to add to the story or something. Rather than just releasing, hence your loaf of bread. And then you're going to release the pack of cheese next month, and then a week after that, the ham. That's not how gaming economics should not work.
Right.
But sadly, it's became the norm. Now, one thing I do want to cover with Mortal Kombat 11, I saw this on social media. And I mentioned it last night during the stream. Apparently somebody, now, they heard this online and it's also on Reddit. And spoiler alert, unless you guys, don't care, to hear what happens in the story of Mortal Kombat 11. I don't even remember seeing it, to be honest, because I played through the story today. I kind of rushed through it, so I gotta go back and rewatch the cutscenes. So they're saying that Jax's ending in the Mortal Kombat 11 story is racist and it's not okay. So going off this thread, so when Jax is ending in the arcade mode of MK11, he uses a dragon. Oh my god, I can't believe I gotta find this again. He uses a Dragon Ball wish to make Africans super advanced and stop slavery. He's even wearing traditional African clothes. Just because Jax is black skin, they suddenly have him be a black rights activist and an African instead of just an American who happens to have black skin. Jax has never been a character who pushes off black stuff, and I'm not saying that black rights activism is bad, but the developers are literally separating Jax from the other characters based on his skin color. I'm not an anti-SJW activist, whoever wrote this article. I hate all of that outrage culture stuff, but MK11 is literally that, and just because the alt-right types are hating on the game, because of it doesn't, the way they're fucking writing this article, okay, this is how they wrote it, are hating on the game because of it doesn't mean normal people can't notice these problems without being part of the group. What are your thoughts? That's, I can't believe I'm actually reading that or hearing about that. What do you think about that when you hear that?
So wait, you're telling me his ending, he made a wish to make blacks advanced and stuff like that?
And to end slavery. But here's the thing.
What's wrong with that? I don't get what's wrong with that.
I know.
Almost every race that has been on this planet has been a slave at some point. Yep. And yes, I might be white in color, but I'm Irish. Mm-hmm. All right? And I can tell you, my family ancestry never owned any slaves or anything like that. So I don't want to hear any shit from any black people or anybody telling me I'm a fucking racist. All right? Fuck you. Yeah.
It's all these liberals out there that say this shit. You're like, oh, and of course you got, I don't know what the hell our schools are teaching the kids nowadays, but it's like, yes, they're now learning about how their ancestors were once, raised as slaves and all, but they only hear half-truths. Okay.
Why is it that they only hear about the black people being slaves? They never hear about the Irish being enslaved to the British. They never hear about, the Jews and the Polish and Christians and the stuff during, World War II with Hitler being in the concentration camps, they only hear about the Jews. They don't hear about all ethnical groups that Hitler was against.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They only include the Jews. The Jews. The Jews did this. The Jews did that. Yeah, well, he went after Poland, so he did the same thing to the Polish, right? If you weren't the right religion, he went after them. If you were gay, he went after you. If your hair wasn't the right color, he went after you. If the eyes weren't the right color, he went after you.
Yep.
You see, that's what people don't understand. History books in school are half-assed.
Yep.
They only want to teach part stuff. And from what I gather, it's to do some type of agenda. I'm not like a conspirator or anything or believe in conspiracies, but I've noticed it throughout the years that it seems like they censor history, and you should never do that.
Yep. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're censoring everything that these kids need to learn and need to know, because they're gathering the wrong information, or even half of it, and they're basing it off of that. Hence,
And here's my problem. They don't teach anything about socialism, right?
Nope.
All right. I can tell you right now, every single country that's ever tried socialism, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Look how they are now.
Yep.
And you want to turn America into a socialist country? You're fucking dumb.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I gotta be flat honest. You're fucking dumb. I'm speaking the truth.
And there's nothing
All
wrong
right.
with that.
And if you don't like it, tough shit. What are you gonna do to me? I'm a crippled Irishman, so fuck you. You
Yeah.
can't do anything to me.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous that this is how our society, as people, as a human race, we're going backwards in time with treating people a certain way. Like, okay, let's say to any African Americans, any Black Americans, whatever, who listen to this, look, your ancestors, or should I go back to your ancestors' ancestors, many, many, many years ago, many, many decades and centuries ago, they were sold off by their own race. They were sold off by Africans. They were paid a good price by Africans. They were sold off to, what was it, the Europeans or whoever it was who bought them?
Pretty much.
So your own race, I hate to sound racist about it, but it's not really racist. It's not racist at all. It's historical facts. This is historical literature. You're...
See, I'm not being racist. I'm being racial. There's the difference.
Yeah.
Racial and racist are two different things. Racial is I'm speaking facts about a particular race. I'm not making up anything. I'm speaking facts.
Yeah. If you were racist,
Right.
it'd be the other thing,
If
like spewing...
if I was a racist, I'd be speaking nasty stuff about everybody.
Yeah.
That is not what I'm doing. I'm pointing out the facts. In fact, however, that some of it may be nasty, right? That's not me making it nasty. It's just the fact that happened.
Mm-hmm. And I bet the culture nowadays, they
I'm
will
sure I'm
compare
going to
it.
get attacked.
They're going to
The only difference is the attack means nothing to me because I don't care.
Yeah. Socialism is
What
garbage
are
and
you-
should never exist. Yes,
what can
that's right.
people do to me that they already haven't done? That's what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do to me.
They're a bunch of cowards. That's all it is. They look upon attacking the little man, to make themselves feel bigger. And that's like, look at the Black Lives Matter group. Okay, there's nothing wrong with...
Well, if they want to feel bigger, here's an idea. Go out and do something productive in life.
Yeah, I know. Get a job or something, That's like, look at the Black Lives Matter group. Okay, I'm not against it. They're fighting for their civil rights, which is what Martin Luther King did in the 1960s.
Right.
Same thing with Malcolm X. You have historical figures like that.
Let me explain something real quick. I'm sorry I keep cutting you off.
No, you're all right.
But let me explain something. Yes, what I'm saying may sound mean and stuff like that, but I believe everyone should be treated equal.
Yep.
All right, so the way I look at it is, if you're going to call me something nasty and think you're going to get away with it because you're a different race, you got another thing coming.
Yeah.
I treat everybody equally.
Especially like if you treat somebody like a piece of shit, guess what? You're going to get in return. Respect is given where it is due.
Exactly.
So I look at it like that. I'm like, I don't look at somebody's skin color. I don't look at their religion. I don't look at anything like that. I look at you as another human being, another person I can sit here and have a conversation with. If you're going to come at me, if you're going to call me a piece of garbage and attack me, you better expect the same in return. But I'm pretty sure, okay, they're gonna be on the defense about that. They're gonna say, well, you're attacking my race, you're attacking my creed, whatever. I'm like, okay, did I say anything toward any of those features that you had just mentioned?
The only time I attack is when you attack me.
Yep. And that's
All I
why,
can say is if you plan the shit on me, you better expect to get shit back on.
yeah. And that's why today's society is so racist, because they use the race card every which way they can.
Well, I find it dumb that they get offended by the dumbest things. So what? Somebody said the M word. You guys use it every day.
Mm-hmm.
You get what? That's what I'm saying. Is they use it every day.
It's a very
So
offensive.
what?
It's a very offensive word, and their own
I'm
race
gonna say
uses it.
I'm going to say a very offensive word right now, Mike. All right, and it's aimed towards my people.
Yeah,
All right, I am what you call a Mick.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
It's what you call an Irish person. It's the offensive word for an Irish person, a Mick. How much you want to bet any Irish people really give a shit?
That's true.
Big whoop. It's a word, people. It's a word.
Yep.
Words only have power if you give them power.
Yeah. And if somebody were to put some kind of meaning, like you said, like power behind it to really offend somebody, and not only that, maybe consistently do it or constantly do it or do it to the point where you're harassing them, then it's going to become a problem. Not, unless, you're somebody of the opposite race or creed or religion.
But, I mean, put it this way. What I just said, right? The racist term for, an Irishman, right?
Yeah.
So what? Are we supposed to be offended when we hear the name Mickey Mouse? Do you get what I'm saying?
I was actually thinking that when you
see my
mentioned
point?
it. Yeah.
Or Mick Jagger, or
Yeah.
somebody named Mick. Are we really supposed to be offended by that? The offensive term for Irish people is actually a name for people. Isn't that ironic?
Yep.
We don't care.
Just like, I'm not going to say the N-word, well, not that particular N-word, but you will get where I'm getting at. It's also Spanish for the color black. And I've seen it.
It is. Yeah, it actually is. You're right.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. What I just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
This podcast won't get flagged for it, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I say the M word, all hell will break loose.
Yep, definitely. People will be
Double standards. You
Yep.
can't have double standards.
That's true. Because
And the last time I checked, the NAACP took the M word out of the dictionary. They officially came on TV one day, I remember it, and said that it is no longer a word. So if it's no longer a word, why are you people still getting so offended by it?
Yeah. Especially if you're of the same race,
I'm
calling
using
each other.
logic.
Yeah.
I'm using logic behind it.
Yeah. And
But yet the world's too stupid to realize, like I just said earlier, words only have power if you give them power.
Yep. And just like you were just saying, we're not being racist, we're being racial. We're discussing actual facts
Right.
about history and all.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to degrade a race. I'm not trying to degrade a religion or anything like that.
We're just trying to show the double standards that are in place here.
Yep.
That's all we're really doing, Mike. Is there's double standards here that shouldn't exist.
Yeah. And people are making them to exist nowadays, and it's not just certain people. It's it's either the school system. Like I said, I don't know what the school system's teaching our kids nowadays, but it's not just that. It's the media.
Oh, I
the
can tell you what
internet.
the school system does. The school system, all right, I'm not going to say which political thing I stand for because I usually stay out of politics and stuff, but I noticed this even when I was in school, is the education and all leans towards the left.
Yep.
It always leans towards the left. It's like they're trying to create more and more liberals. All right. And I'm not saying that, to say like I'm a Republican or anything. I'm staying out of politics for the most part. I really don't care about either side. But what I'm getting at is I notice what it's aimed towards. There is no equality there. They don't teach left and right. It's, no, this is the way it is,
And it's not just in schools, too. It's in the media. You see it all over the news. You see it all over the internet.
Most of the news is liberal media.
Yeah.
They even admit they're liberal media.
Yeah, that's why when I watch something like CNN and I see all the propaganda they put up there, I laugh and then I turn the channel.
Well, the main reason I laugh is because I look at both sides, right?
Yeah.
I see what the right's doing, I see what the left's doing, and I see how they shit on one another, and somewhere in that pile of feces is the truth.
Yep. And that's the thing. Nobody bothers to dig through.
Nobody fact checks anything.
Yeah. That's why we have such a socialist fucking country right now.
So, I mean, so what if, Jax in a video game does a thing, that, would have ended a bad time in history and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The way I see it is they weren't really trying to make a statement with that.
No.
It's just something Jax might have done.
Yeah, it's probably a humorous thing. Like I said, when I read it, he uses a Dragon Ball wish. A completely different, subtitle, a completely different game or genre or whatever. Hey, Empire, what's up, man? But yeah, he like I said, going into it, he uses a Dragon Ball wish to make Africans super advanced and to stop slavery. And he also
That's
wears
the way I look at it. Good for him.
And he also wears traditional African clothes. There's nothing wrong with wearing what is it called, a dashiki or some shit,
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
They're trying to make a big deal out of this like they did Black Panther.
Yep. Oh, definitely. See, that's why I was skeptic on seeing Black Panther. I mean, I was eventually going to see it, and I eventually saw it, but I didn't want to see it on the grounds that it was portrayed as maybe a statement, okay, this is an all African, an all black superhero movie. And
see, I watched it. Me and Dana actually own it now. We watched it, right?
Yeah.
It made sense that the whole thing, the whole cast was black. It made sense.
Yeah.
It really did. Because it took place in, the place of Wakanda. And so it was all about him, so it made sense. Everybody else trying to make a big deal out of it and stuff, and it's just like the whole Captain Marvel thing. There was like some big thing going on with that, except they changed the roles. Instead of it being African American people, it was, she's against men and this and that.
Feminist or something, yeah.
It's just, they just replace it with a different group every time.
Yeah.
And I got one thing to say to all you people that do that. You're so full of shit.
Yep.
Get a life.
That's like if I'm looking at a movie like, Jordan Peele. He did those 2 thriller horror movies, Get Out and Us. He recently did the movie Us. It got mixed reviews. They were hyping it up. They were saying it was the best. And I was willing to see it too. Until he mentioned some statements, about how, he would never really add any white actors to the movie. And I'm like, okay, well, I've seen a lot of other movies in the past that with an all-black cast. I have nothing against that. But if you make it to where it's something a particular race or a particular group will, relate to, especially if you make certain statements about it that can, piss off, somebody else. I'm like, look, don't say anything at all. Just say, look, I'm proud of the project I did. I'm proud of the cast. The actors did a really good job, and just let the viewers make their own assumptions. When you say something about a certain movie,
I think it's the way he worded it
that's probably what it
put all
is.
people off. You see, he could have said it in a more general way, saying, look, I know of a lot of horror movies, because it's kind of a staple, let's face it.
Yeah.
In most horror movies, the black guy dies.
Yeah.
Which I'll admit can be kind of fucked up at times. All right, because, it's almost a movie trope, and it really shouldn't be a trope.
Yeah.
Horror movies should be a little less predictable on who's going to die. So, I mean, he could have said something like that, like, I don't want to stick to the staple of this, you know what I mean? And I want to make it to where there's more heroes that are, of African-American descent, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was a real fan of, George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
It had an African-American hero in it for the most part. I mean, everybody lost in the end.
And that was groundbreaking for the time.
But that was groundbreaking, but you know what? It was good.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain yourself every time. If you just want to use a black cast, use a black cast. What's the big deal?
Yeah. And I wouldn't have mind seeing the movie at all, regardless. I mean, I'll probably see it eventually. But if you're going to make certain statements about it, and it's going to cause some kind of little controversy, if it's going to, rattle the nest a little bit, then I'll be like, okay, well, this is kind of why some people usually boycott certain actors, certain bands, whatever.
Well, you see, I never saw it. I never saw Get Out or that, but not because of those reasons. It's just called, money reasons.
Yeah.
Right. But I got to watch reviews on them. All right. So I know what happens in them. I know how they end.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I got to admit, both of them have hells of a twist in them that I wouldn't have seen coming, which I thought was genius.
And that's what I like in like movies like that. When they take you on a roller coaster ride and they have those sudden twists. Like I saw Get Out. I didn't think it was great, but it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it.
Will I pick it up? Yeah, if I come across it, I'll pick it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't want to, say I'm not going to see a certain movie because a guy's being, saying something racist about it, but still, I'm that's like me saying I'm not a Jack Black fan. I just don't find Jack Black that funny. I mean, he has a little bit of comedic value to him. Yeah, I'll get a chuckle or two out of him. But certain other movies, I guess he kind of overdoes it or underdoes it. Does that mean I'm going to stop watching Jack Black movies? No.
But I mean, here's another thing. I don't know if I told you, but I had a cousin that died from the H1N1 virus.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear about that.
Back in, I think, 2011, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm into comedians.
Yeah.
All right, I collect stand-up comedy stuff. I love it, all right? Well, I was watching this one guy. I can't remember his name, but I was watching him on Netflix. And one of the first jokes that came out of his mouth was, I'm rooting for the H1N1 virus.
Mm.
All right, that was part of a joke, right?
Yeah.
I didn't like that joke.
Yeah.
Did I write a nasty letter? Did I attack him? No. You know what I did? I stopped watching it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
If something offends you, walk away.
That's what everybody's been told, from that,
Just
their standpoint.
Away.
Yep. Even Empire stated, if there's too much political stuff in movies, even TV shows too, it kills it. And that's true too. If there's something very political in there, and it's something that you may see or hear about in everyday news or whatever, yeah, it's going to kill it. It's definitely going to be a real kill switch for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, okay, like...
Unless it's a political-based movie. That's
Yeah.
the only time it doesn't, because that's where it belongs. But politics belongs not in Marvel movies, not in horror movies, not in comedy movies. I mean, unless it's a political comedy. It's one
Yeah.
thing, just like if there's a political horror movie,
Yeah.
which is possible. But that's what I'm getting at, is it belongs in its own genre. It needs to stay out of everything else.
Yeah.
And when it really starts coming in the games, you got a problem.
Like I said, I was getting ready to say,
But like I said, with the Jax thing, I don't think that was politically, motivated.
no. And
I honestly just think it was, hey, he was going to do this kind-hearted thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To change history so none of that horrible stuff ever happened.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it was kind of like something Jax would have done because, he's like the American man in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
He's what America stands for the most part in Mortal Kombat. So it's like, why are people surprised?
Whereas if people really want to look at it that way as a fan, like, okay, well, here's what really happened, 1864, 1865, when, the Civil War and all had ended. Who was it who freed the slaves? White man. Abraham Lincoln himself, the president of the United States, ended slavery. It was even rumored that he had a black mistress. Do I find that offensive? Do I hate him for that? No. I'm not against that.
Now, can I say that some of the greatest heroes for America were also pretty horrible people?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll admit some of them did some horrible stuff. But you know what? Here, let's change it around. Instead of Jax doing that,
Mm-hmm.
what if we made, I don't know, Sonya?
Yeah, what if she did that,
Or
Liu
Kang did it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Would
Yeah,
it have been that-
they wouldn't find it as offensive then, they'd be like, oh, that's okay, but
Let
Jax
me put it
does it.
this way. If you and I had a chance to rewrite history like that and stop that from happening, would you do it?
If I had a chance, yeah, it's well, hold on, I'm looking something up here. I'm like 10 two things at once. Okay, did Abe Lincoln? But yeah, if I had a chance to end all of that, yeah, whether I was black, white, Asian, Hispanic,
That's what I'm getting at, though. But you can't. See, that's the problem, is people are so stuck on the past. But the thing is, you can't hold the descendants responsible for something that their ancestors did.
oh, okay,
We weren't alive. We weren't there.
Yeah, I had to look that up, Empire. I'm sorry. For some reason, I heard a while back that Abe Lincoln had a black mistress or something. Somebody said something like that. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson. I didn't read too much about Thomas Jefferson, but
Yeah, he did.
okay.
See, this is stuff that they don't teach you.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's something that they don't teach you. When I was talking about history books, they're censored something fierce.
Yeah.
All right. But I mean, you just see what I said, though, right? Our generation would gladly go back and fix that.
I can't believe a question I'm looking at right now, because I looked
You know-
up the question, did Abe Lincoln have a black mistress? And they said, okay, he never had a mistress at all. Okay, so it was just rumored. But then I'm looking at this question here. Was Abraham Lincoln black? That just shows you how dumb today's I don't even think anybody's really learning anything. It's like, was he black? No, he was American Caucasian, but in order to keep America together, he set the slaves free. The war ended. What was it? I think it was the North
But,
that won.
but you
Yeah.
see, here's the thing. Everybody always assumes, oh, he set the slaves free. Everybody pictures it, oh, he signed a paper and they all went free same day. That's not what
No.
happened. Know what I mean?
That's
He
like,
may have freed them, but it took a while.
mm-hmm. Just
And
like
even
I heard.
even after he freed them, some of the people that sided with Lincoln still wouldn't give up slaves.
Just like I heard that the North, I think it was the Union, they were all for slavery in some parts, like the Confederacy, from what I heard. And I heard from a buddy of mine. He's I think he's like, you get a little bit of Jamaican or Nigerian in him or whatever.
Mhm.
But he even said, the Confederacy, they were all for ending slavery. And the Union, well, even though the Union won, the North won and all, but I don't know. It's the education system that doesn't teach you everything. Yep.
How the history books would tell you is that the Confederates, which I'm pretty sure were the South, were against the North. The South didn't want to, give up their way of life and stuff like that, while the North was facing them to, do all that. But that whole war wasn't just about slavery. There was more to it.
Yeah.
You see, but you don't learn that in school. Hell, I don't even think they teach history in school anymore.
Yeah, I think they took it over. Hey, what's up, Mikey? Batman Gaming is in here. Same day shipping. And Empire said Abe Lincoln made it possible to pay black folk to fight for the Union. Yeah, I mean, there was, he freed them and all. It's just after they were freed from slavery, and of course, the next few decades, there was no equal rights amongst everybody, which I'm like, it's a disgusting thing. We're all human beings. We're all here. We all breathe the same air. We eat the same foods. We shit the same. We piss the same.
Ultimately, Mike, here's what it is. Racism is taught, not bred.
Yep.
All right? You can have an African-American baby, a Japanese baby, a Chinese baby, right? An Indian baby and a white baby all in the same area. They ain't judging each other by color.
Nope.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Both sides had slaves. It was more about controlling the White House. I guess. See, I don't remember a whole lot of what I learned back in history class. I gotta read.
But you see, Empire's showing you the stuff that the books don't show you.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like about Empire. He does the same thing I do. When it comes to history, right? Oh, I will look all through it.
Yeah, research it.
To see what is missing.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a lot of people out there that are ignorant to, the facts. They're ignorant to the story. They either don't want to learn it or they don't know it. They weren't taught it. But then when you look it up, and it's like it's a whole new ball game. Like if you set a history book, an actual history book, in front of a black student and told him to read it front to back, and he would learn a hell of a lot about American history in there. He would really turn his whole thing around. And Mikey just said something, racism is brought up by the parents who bring their children up into it. That's another thing, too. If you're raised by racist parents, the children are going to be brought up into that lifestyle.
Yep.
Well, then it's not only that, too. It also depends on the people, the kids that they hang around with,
But let me put it this way. In history, we were taught that JFK was a really good president, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were taught the Kennedys did all this good stuff, right?
Yep.
Well, you do realize if you look into it more, you'll find stuff that surfaces that shows that the Kennedys weren't that great at all.
Yeah, they had a lot of skeletons in their closet, like with old Johnny Boy, the stuff with Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, but Clinton's not much different than that. And everybody seems to love Clinton for some reason.
That's true. Yeah, people would rather be lied to than hear the truth. That's the problem. Yeah, that is the problem with today's society. They figure, hearing a lie is a lot better than hearing the truth because they figure, okay, the truth hurts.
Yeah, but hearing the lie causes a false truth, which causes more damage.
Yep.
Amen, brothers. Amen.
There you are, man.
There he is.
This is what I love talking about, politics on certain subjects. So, the White House, let's get back to the Civil War, shall we?
All right.
So, Abe Lincoln was actually trying to get a bill signed to pretty much end the war. He had two options, and I watched this movie called Abe Lincoln, which talks about his presidency. He had to get the Abolish the Slavery Act, which was back before the Civil War ended, which was like, I think, 1960.
Yep, I remember hearing about that.
That's what he was trying to do, but he had to get so many senators because the Senate, at the time, the Democrats was really against that, and the war was going on, and to get his second term, he had to get that one bill passed, and to get a certain amount of senators from the flip. which happened. That's why they got paid. Then that's when a couple months later, or whatever, he got assassinated by John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah, John Wilkes Booth.
But it was all about pretty much the supply lines. How the Civil War was won by the Unions was they cut off the supply lines because Fort Sumter was a supply line, but Wilmington and the counties in the southern states was a big supply zone for cotton and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's also another movie on Netflix, is the something about Jonestown, and it actually has to deal with Alabama, Mississippi.
Okay, I heard about that.
And General Sherman actually supplied this one guy named John. I forgot John Newton. That's who it was, John Newton.
Okay.
And you can look him up on Google. And he was a guy that took over 3 counties from the Confederate States. It was non-strategical, but it was enough to pretty much help the Union soldiers out. And that's when pretty much, the war was almost ended there too. But there's also another thing that happened that they did not teach you in history class. Around 1899, I'm not sure if you all heard about the Hatfields and McCoys.
That sounds familiar, yeah.
Hatfield McCoys. Now, there's a movie out there called Hatfield McCoys by, what's his name? Oh, shit, the guy that died.
I actually know a Hatfield that's related to those Hatfields.
Help me out here, Cypher. The 2 guys, oh, shit. The one that was used to play in Twister, and what was the other guy's name? Shit. Kevin Costner.
Okay.
What was the other guy?
You talking about Bill Paxton?
Yeah.
Bill Paxton, yes. Okay. Bill Paxton and Kevin Costner. That is, if you want to know more history, we was almost at a second Civil War with those 2 fighting. That's how bad it got.
Yes, it did.
And to this day, they were the famous people that one fight ended. And it still continued on for 200 and some years later, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay. Until they signed a peace treaty with, I think it was 200 descendants, I think it was, their Cypher, if I remember correctly from watching the movie. I think it was 200 descendants, if I remember. Because the last time it happened was in 19-something, where the police officer pulled over a Hatfield, or it was either Hatfield McCoy, and it was about a murder case or something, and they ended up working together or some shit like that. And that's what ended the whole entire thing about the Hatfield McCoys. Now, there is still a Hatfield McCoy thing, but it's about moonshine. That got this.
Oh, you got broke up on us there. Are you still there? Emba. I think we lost him. Might be a bad connection.
Well, he'll be back most likely.
Let's see. The Hatfield McCoy War. That was involved 2 families. That was in West Virginia, Kentucky. That's about the Hatfield McCoy Trail. Let's see. Hatfield McCoy.
Well, to be fair, Mike, I think we've gotten a little off topic here.
Yeah, that's true.
we covered the main things between it,
Yeah.
I mean, we can always cover the rest of this in a different episode.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because we were talking about the video, Mortal Kombat and Jax, and we let us down this rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. You still there, Empire?
Yeah, I'm still here, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, we'll cover more on the that whole thing. It's a good topic. We'll definitely open that up in another episode. But yeah, I think where it kind of twists us off road a little bit was the whole claiming that this video game has this one scene in it where they're like, "Oh, it's so racist, he's wishing to end slavery and he's wearing African outfits." So fucking what? They say the same thing in other video games and movies where they're like, "Oh, this movie's racist. This game's okay. What's racist about it?" And then when they discuss it, when they point it out, I'm like, "Okay, there's nothing really racist about it."
That's like in Doom 2, what they're gonna have is something that they were had to change. I forgot what the hell it was. There was like Autobot that was saying something about kill something or whatever. When there's little animated things. You remember here talking about this, Mike? About the Doom 2 shit. The LGBT community got offended about some bullshit.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And they had to fucking do something about it because of people getting offended. And that's another thing, man. If you're gonna shove agendas down our throats, well, we're gonna shove our agendas on your fucking throats. Is how I see it.
Yeah. It's as easy as Cypher said earlier. It's like, if you don't like something for what it is, turn it off, walk away, get away from it any which way you can. Because I'm going to put my foot down on this. This is a staple in it. I got to say, if you're saying that something is racist, if you're crying that something is so racist, if you look at something and you say, that's racist, I don't like it, you're the racist yourself. There's nothing racist about what you're claiming racism on. You're the racist itself. You're what's wrong with not just, the territory. It's not just America. It's not wherever country you're from. You're the problem with the human race. You're the racist yourself. And
like you're racist.
I'm not racist. I hate everybody equally.
Yeah, you can't be racist on that. I mean, I hate Cypher's chair. Cypher's chair's fucking racist. His white as fucking snowflake.
Yeah.
Oh God, now I'm offended.
Well, here's something for you. I'm looking at it on Facebook. I don't know why. Marilyn Manson gave Machine Gun Kelly a dildo for his birthday.
Maybe he likes it. I don't know.
He looks like he needs a dildo up the
That's almost
ass.
as close as what I want to give Dana's uncle one day. I want to give him a box with a pair of flip-flops and a dildo in it with a note that says, if you don't like the flip-flops, go fuck yourself.
I'll tell you something funny. When I was married and I was on my honeymoon, I found a dildo underneath this bed that me and my wife were sleeping on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave my ex-mother-in-law a fucking dildo.
Probably gave her something else.
Slightly used.
You never know what's on that thing.
I mean, it had been by two dykes, but still though, I mean, I was like, here you go. You always complain you ain't getting laid. Here you go. Here's a dildo for you.
I clean it off for you.
No, I didn't clean that shit off. I just wrapped it in the fucking bag it was in. I put it in and fucking just gave it to her. Like, here you go. I was ignorant. I didn't like my mother-in-law at the time.
Yeah. So anyway, my closing remarks for the racism in games, I'm like, look, if it's not just in video games itself, it's in other forms of media as well. If you hear a song and you're saying, oh, that's racist, and you see a movie and there's something in there and you claim it's racist, and other people look at it and say, I don't see it, you're the racist yourself. That's why racism exists. That's why racism is a much more bigger factor right now in the country than it has ever been, because people make it racist. Like, look at those white, look at the white race right now. Who's more racist, right? Well, is it either the black Americans or the white Americans? I want to say they're about equal, but then there's some white Americans that will literally and purposely point something out and deem it offensive towards the black Americans, the African Americans. And I'm like, no, you're being racist yourself. You say you're all for civil rights and helping the black community get, have their civil rights and fighting for them and all. That's all good. That's fine. Stand up for something you believe in and be supportive. But when you do something like that, when you say, oh, this is racist toward black people and you're white, you're racist yourself. You don't even know it. You don't see it, but that's how it's portrayed. That's how it's being, fed off into the society. So
I got a thing to say on that too, but
yeah,
it's going to get in a little political area if you don't mind.
Oh, we give you 2 minutes time for that.
I think what the real problem in this country is that our educational system is number one factor.
Yep.
Okay. And that has a big difference in plus parenting at home too. 2 big factors. But when somebody says they're being racist, I think the whole racist thing, okay, is a scare. That's pretty much what I think of it as a scare tactic, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you see a black person and this is no offense to anybody that's listening, okay?
Yeah.
Say you're walking down the street and you don't know the guy. And this guy's big, bad, look, 250 pounds, muscular, easily. And you're like about, let's say, 225, medium built. Okay? You don't know nothing about that guy. But you keep hearing all these people, you watch the media, racist this, racist that. You think that guy, because media control you, media will put shit in your head to make you think that guy's the bad guy. But no, in reality, that guy could be the nicest guy in the whole wide world.
Yep.
It's the media. Media is the number one problem here that puts fear in people. And that's how they that's how they're going to destroy America. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
You can call me Alex Jones Jr. for all I care, but
they're not going to destroy America. They are destroying America.
Obama's the one that created it. I mean, no offense to anybody that's a Democrat or Obama.
I see it, yeah.
But the thing is, back in 2012, where Obama promised change, that's where it happened. 2012 is where this shit happened, and then you hear all these people, "Oh, you're racist. You're so mean to people," and that's where all the LGBTQ community came out. The Arabics come out trying to destroy America and all this other shit. Never heard about that before 2012. Okay. So you had the LGBT crew, you had Al Jazeera or jihadist, whatever. Okay. And then you had the racist people, white and black or Asian, all those, just the racist group people. Not everybody.
Yeah.
All of that, and then you have the media on top of that. Of all those, the media was on top of all that, controlling it, because that's how it's played. You play it like the Roethlisberger and the freaking elites and the shadow government. Once they get in your mind, they got you.
Yeah. And
that's why I listen to underground media.
Yep, that's where it all matters.
Okay. Political end ended.
How'd you like that picture I posted in Discord?
That's funny.
Yeah, they say Avengers Endgame is going to be a little over 3 hours long, and people are worried about holding their bladder. I'm like, look, here's how I see it. When you go see that movie this Friday, don't drink anything. Don't go into...
Didn't they do the same thing with Alexandra? They had an intermission before they did the second half of that movie, because I thought Alexandra was like 2 hours and 30 minutes.
I know what.
The only way I'd make it through that movie, all right, is if they put TVs in the bathroom, right? Because I'm a diabetic.
Oh yeah.
And damn it, if they don't do it, I'm gonna be offended. Now I'm gonna write a nasty letter.
I don't blame you, but
I'm gonna deem the movie theater racist against diabetics.
All right. I know in the movie Alexandra, which talks about the Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
They had an intermission timing in the middle of it before they started up on the second half of Alexander the Great and finished off the movie. I wonder if that's how they're gonna do it.
Just have something come up on screen. Have Thanos come up on screen. If you need to take a piss, do it now.
Be back before I snap my fingers.
Yeah. There you go.
See, I never saw the movie Watchmen in theaters, but I know that movie was 3 hours long. I was laying in my bedroom watching it on DVD, and I'm like, God damn, when is this movie going to end?
I mean, have a start, but then it's going to get great in the middle near the end.
I'd be like, you know what? Release it in theaters, but also release it on Netflix at the same time. That way I can actually pause it and get up and take a piss.
No, they got every damn Avengers movie on Netflix right now.
Yeah, I know. I got to catch up on 2 of them right now myself. And I'm like, when I go to a movie theater and I want to watch a movie, don't go to the concession stands and order yourself a large fucking Coke with a lot of ice. Because guess what? The first 45 minutes in, you're going to have to take a piss. You're not going to want to stand up. Huh?
Mike, I'm a fat guy. I gotta have it.
That or take what the hell are those fucking piss bags? Yeah, I keep forgetting what the hell they're called. The
catheters.
Catheters, thank you. Yeah, take yourself a catheter and get yourself a nice, good sized garbage can that fits in there with you.
That or just do like race car drivers and just fucking have diapers on, fucking thick as shit. You don't piss in the fucking car or whatever, and just let it rip.
I always wondered if they actually go, because they're like racing like 500 laps in the fucking 2-hour mark, and I'm like, oh god, I gotta piss. Just go, just let it go, soak yourself.
Well, that's what they do. That's honest to God. That's what I heard that they do it that way. Mike, Google that up real quick.
Yes, I am, because now that's an interesting question. Dude, NASCAR drivers. Oh my god, that's actually the first fucking topic that I type it in. Let's see.
I don't think NASCAR would be as interesting if they all had to pull over and take a piss.
No,
but do NASCAR drivers
would be funny as hell.
There's no rules saying that drivers should wear diapers, and besides, there are certain measures that drivers take to avoid having an accident, like taking salt tablets to keep them from needing water, to controlling the temperature levels inside the car, and even going to the toilet just before they start the race. So it's possible they do wear diapers, but that's also salt tablets. Yeah, it keeps you from getting thirsty.
I guess it depends.
Yeah. Guess it depends before you go on a long drive.
What if you're like sick or something, you have the runs? I'm just curious.
Well, then you don't get on the race. You don't drive.
What are you talking about? That's how you win the race. You shit in a bag and you throw it out your window to people behind you.
Fucking Mario Kart 2.0.
That, or if you watch South Park, there's the episode of South Park where Cartman thinks he's a redneck. And he goes out fucking driving, in NASCAR. He's like, I'm a dumb fucking redneck. He's driving all over the track, causing accidents and shit. Speaking of which, since we were talking about movies and stuff, let's get on to the next topic here. And I mentioned this last...
Rhapsody.
Yeah. Now, I talked about this last night because I was talking about this movie Hellboy. I watched the new Hellboy. Now, my personal opinion, I enjoyed it. I thought the actor, oh god, what the fuck was his name? I keep forgetting the name of that damn actor who played Hellboy. It's not Ron Perlman, because Ron Perlman was in the first. He was in the first two. What was his name? David Harbour. David Harbour. He played Hellboy in the reboot, and I gotta say he did a fantastic job with the character. I love Ron Perlman's take on it, but this dude right here, he didn't do, he did not, let's just say he didn't take away the spirit that Ron Perlman had when he played in the movie. He was just, filling the shoes for the reboot. And he did a pretty good job. He did a fantastic job with the character, had a good amount of humor to it. The movie is R-rated, so there is some profanity in there. You got some hell, shits, fucks, and bitches and all. Plus, it's also pretty gory, too, which is what a lot of people have been wanting from these movies ever since they were made. So it is pretty gory. I like it. To me, there wasn't enough action to it. I was expecting a little bit more action to the story. I felt that there was maybe a couple plot holes, but I was okay with them. Maybe they'll add some deleted scenes or something when it comes out, on the Blu-ray or whatever. And of course, it does close out, with a possible sequel in the future, which I like to see. So the movie itself, it's not bad like everybody claims it to be. It's a very entertaining movie. There is, it is a little bit of confusion when it comes to trying to understand the lore behind Hellboy and the Blood Witch, which is a character in the movie played by Milla Jovovich. She's sexy as ever. So, and I was looking up the review on the movie, and Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 14%. Now, my opinion on Rotten Tomatoes, I feel, is killing the movie industry in a sense to me, because it's pushing people away in a sense. People are like, I'll wait till the review from Rotten Tomatoes is out. Just like, okay, look at Justice League. Look at Batman vs. Superman. Okay, they're not as great as your typical Marvel movie. They're not as great as Captain Marvel or Black Panther. but they were still pretty entertaining. Yes, they were lengthy. Look at all the Marvel movies. Every Marvel movie that has released since Iron Man 1 has been at least 2 to 2.5 hours long. Batman v Superman was almost 3 hours. It was 3 hours when you got the extended cut on Blu-ray, which added like 30 more minutes of extra scenes that explored a little bit more into the story. But that's a typical superhero movie, for 2.5 hours long, and it was entertaining. I liked it. Okay, maybe the story was diluted a little bit, and there wasn't a whole lot to work with because they were trying to cram everything in at once. But the movie was still enjoyable. I liked it. I liked the actors. Like, look at Justice League. I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he portrayed a perfectly good Batman and Bruce Wayne. I've seen every single Batman movie there is. So when you got a rating system like Rotten Tomatoes, that they see the movie, they rate and review the movie days before the movie's even released. Now, how many people actually go see the movie with or without reading a review on Rotten Tomatoes or listening to a critic rant about it? I think critics, in my personal opinion, are ruining movies. Ruining the image a movie can have, in a way. A movie comes out. Okay, let's say there's a movie that comes out and it wins like 10 fucking Oscars. And it's got a 100% rating on RottenTomatoes.com. Am I going to go see that movie? Not necessarily. If it's a movie that interests me a lot and I actually love it, then that's cool. But if it's something that, I'm not going to be interested in, no, I'm not going to go see it because Rotten Tomatoes says, hey, it's got 100% on our rating factor. It won 10 Oscars. It has this actor in it. There's about 20 fucking titties you see in there. Maybe somebody gets ass raped or something. I don't know. Could it be something that we can get you to come in and actually watch the movie? No, because the movie doesn't interest me. If a movie interests me and I want to see it, I'll go watch it. I'm not going to listen to what a website or some critic says about that particular movie. Take a look at what's called one of the worst movies of all time, especially when it comes to video game adaptations. Super Mario Brothers. That's a childhood movie to me. I still watch it to this day. Is it cheesy? Yes. I know the history behind the whole movie. I know the actors. They had a very tough time in the movie. Bob Hoskins, he ended up breaking his wrist or breaking his hand during the production of the movie. They had a hell of a time making that movie. It's very cheesy. Yes, it doesn't fit in with the video game, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed the visuals for the time it was. I grew up watching this movie, and I'm still going to continue to watch this movie because I personally enjoy it. If Cypher said, I thought it was completely terrible, that's your opinion. I'm not going to scour you for it. I'm not going to say you will like it because I say so. That's what I feel critics do in a sense nowadays. They chastise a movie, and I just want to, I just want people to be able to actually see it for themselves and judge it for themselves. Now, how do you guys feel about movie critics and review websites? Do you think that they're needed, or do you feel like they're actually necessary?
I judge them on my own.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. If it's something that, I want to watch, I'm going to watch it, whether you don't like it or not. And if I think, hey, I do my system with a clear head. If I think it's good, I'll give it a 4, maybe 3.5. If I think it's horrible, I'll give it a 3 or 2.
Yeah.
Stars. But I ain't gonna go to no dang on website that baloney half the fucking time and just write a review because somebody does it. You know what I mean? It's flipping retarded.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh shit! I was gonna say something earlier. Fuck. Maybe I lost my point of thought. But yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes and shit, yeah, it's stupid. But
I think
that's my opinion upon it.
I think Cypher's still trying to think of his opinion.
I think the chair's gonna.
I have my opinion.
Okay.
My opinion, though, do I really think the reviewers are really needed anymore? No, I really don't. But honestly, what I think we do need, because we don't have decent reviewers anymore, is we need another Siskel and Ebert. Is what we need. Because their show, you may have agreed or disagreed with them, but you know what? They made it entertaining.
They did.
You know, they weren't telling you, hey, you can't go see this. They would say, I recommend not seeing it. And then the other one might say, hey, I recommend seeing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they always debated each other on it.
They debated each other. Exactly. You don't have reviewers really debating one another. Pretty much it's just, this is my opinion, so this is how it's going to be. You see what I'm saying? I rather make the choice on my own, but I would like to see another show like Siskel and Ebert, though.
Yeah, because you don't even see like Siskel and Roper anymore. Because ever since Roger Ebert, ever since he I think it was he retired, or was it Ebert and Roper? It was one of those.
Well, they both passed away.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I know what it is. Joel Siskel, he passed away first, then it became Ebert and Roper, and then Roger Ebert, he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
Who's that other? There's another movie critic out there. What the fuck was his name? He was very popular. The guy with the glasses. What the fuck was his name?
Nostalgia critic.
No,
Doug Walker?
No, not him. That's internet reviewers. He's very popular. He had a show on Bravo. Oh, what the fuck was his name? Now I gotta look him up.
You want to go back to the Hellboy thing? I like the Ron Perlman one better. And another thing I want to say something about these about these reboots, is just do the original. The reboot things is getting retarded all the time. I mean, yeah, they got another reboot of Chucky. They got a reboot of this. They got a reboot of that.
Yeah.
Keep it fucking original. Don't change shit. Don't need no fucking reboot.
Leonard Maltin, that's what I'm thinking. I'm sorry I cut you off. Leonard Maltin, that's what I'm thinking of.
But it's just the rebooting shit is retarded in my opinion. Because I mean, the movie's already been out several years. Just freaking bring it back. Just with put it back on DVD and then let it roll back out. And that's the thing. You can't find the old movies like you used to.
Yeah.
Back in the old time. Just bring back off. Just make several DVD copies. Put them back on the shelf.
Well, that's what they're doing now. Even some of the harder to find horror movies that I want to get, they are actually releasing them on Blu-ray now. You're not going to find them in Walmart or Best Buy. It's stuff you're going to have to order online, but that's what they're trying to do now, is bring back a lot of the older stuff that has been forgotten, and they're releasing them that way.
But people are doing these reboots, and it's like, why kick a dead horse when it's already been a great seller in the beginning when it released, and why try to redo something which was already pretty much gold? You know what I mean?
I don't understand why they have to modernize them. You know?
That's what they do too, yeah.
I mean, that's just like the new Child's Play movie that's supposed to come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the doll's supposed to be possessed this time. I think it's just supposed to be like a rogue toy that malfunctions that can interact with all electronics.
That's what I see it as. Like, I see all these electronics being controlled by him in Means to Kill. Whereas in the original, you got the soul of a serial killer transferred into this doll. And
what's more terrifying? What's more terrifying? A doll that's possessed, or a doll that was built to have functions?
I think when it comes to cinema, I would say possessed, because you don't know what entity or spirit is inside that doll. Whereas modernized with a piece of technology, I would see it as being a scary thing in the real world, because in the real world we work around machines. We work with machines all the time, electronics. So you never know, like a fucking toaster can go rogue and come flying at me and bake my face or some shit.
I'm gonna.
But
have
I'm
to
kind of looking
disagree
at
with
like
you.
Chucky with Bluetooth. Ooh, terrifying.
I'm gonna
Know what I mean?
I'm gonna have to disagree with that because one thing, if you really want to know something about modern technology, watch Fast and Furious 8. Okay, with the real cars actually being started from an airplane. That is scary.
Yeah.
Okay, that's by a hacker. Now a little doll with a fucking thing. I mean, I don't think Mark Hamill's going to get the boom that he thinks he's going to get. I really seriously doubt it because, yeah, Mark Hamill's a big guy, a big actor, but I just don't see he's going to get the boom that he's expecting. I really
still
don't
think they need to make a new Batman movie with Mark Hamill actually playing the live-action Joker.
Yeah. See, for me, I know Mark Hamill has an extensive career record, not just with fantasy movies, but also some horror-related movies and such. Now, hearing his rendition of Chucky at the end of the trailer, I'm like, okay, that will probably be the only good thing about it that will draw me to it, is to see, because I'm interested in seeing how Mark Hamill's going to voice this doll. Now, I don't want to see the doll, just doing its thing. I want to hear the doll speak. I want to, because that was a groundbreaking thing for the first Child's Play, where the doll actually came to life and you hear him, you stupid bitch, you filthy slut, That was groundbreaking for a lot of people.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I think the only reason why they're trying this is because they know Mark Hamill is a big name and they want as many viewers as they can.
Well, plus he's a pretty good voice actor.
Well, yeah, that, but let's go back to the very first Chucky. The very first Chucky that came out scared the piss out of me. I couldn't sleep for fucking days.
You're not the only one. A buddy of mine was scared of that doll.
And I'm telling you, now you got electronic Chucky doll. I don't feel as terrified. Yeah, you put Mark Hamill up there, big money signs, big dollars.
Yep.
You ain't going to get this because you put a big name on there. You think, wow, got one big guy on there. All the Star Wars fans are going to come to that. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get all the Star Wars. So, yeah, they're trying to milk the fuck out of it, and it's not going to come out that way. Now, if you went back to the very first how it was, and you rebooted that, and have the doll possessed more than electronically possessed, that would be good. Then I think Mark Hamill would be perfect, and it would be right on course.
Yep.
That's how I would sell it.
Now, my personal opinion about reboots, it's like a two-sided coin. It's either going to work or it's not. Some reboots don't work, and some actually do. Take a look at Stephen King's It. The original TV miniseries, okay, people love that. It's nostalgic for them. Tim Curry, he did a banging job on the movie. But then when you're watching it nowadays, and anybody now can actually agree to disagree that, okay, the movie was 3 hours long. So the first half of the movie dealt with the children, just like it does in the novel. A lot of people don't really... That's another thing. I'm going to cover this in a different segment. A lot of people don't read books. So, like movies that are adapted from books, they don't include a lot of material in it for certain reasons. Now, the miniseries, of course, it had to be PG or PG-13 related because it was made for TV. So, of course, there was a lot that they cut out of it. So, you look at the original miniseries and you're like, okay, the first half of the movie was really good. The children actors did a bang-up job. They were really good. Then you get to the second half of the story, and it's not really a whole letdown, but it kind of droops downhill a little bit to the climax at the end, and it was all good. Now, when they rebooted it, and I went to the movie theaters to see this, and I loved it. It was a very good performance from all the children actors and everybody within, Bill Skarsgård. He fit the shoes of Pennywise very well. He wasn't trying to shit on the legacy that Tim Curry put in there, but pretty much, like, I don't know, I want to say expand on it, but let's just say he was inspired, sort of, by Tim Curry. And he wasn't trying to outperform or outdo him. He was trying to do his best impression, his best as the role, and he did a bang-up job with it. The story was pretty good, and the best thing about it, not only was it R-rated, so they had much more, they didn't have as many limitations with the movie as they did, if it was a made-for-TV movie, but they also added a little bit more lore into the story from the book. There was actually a scene that they were thinking about putting in the movie, but they didn't. It's in the book. And it has something to do with all the kids having sex with Beverly. And there's 7 of them. And it happens right after they fight Pennywise for the first time, and he goes into the sewers and goes to sleep. So on their way out of the sewer, sort of to, find their way out, they all end up, having sex with Beverly, who's the only girl in the group. And nowadays, people would find that very controversial because there's kids having sex with each other and you don't want to see that. And they're going ape shit because, oh my God, it was in the book? So you mean to tell me you didn't read the book on this story to know that happens? They're not going to add it in the movie because they know what's going to fucking happen. Just like you got part 2 coming out this year. I'm definitely going to see it. I'm hoping it's just as good as the first one. Now, Pet Sematary was just recently remade. I want to see it because I loved I loved the original Pet Sematary. I never read the book. I know there's a hell of a lot more in the book than what they actually put in the movie. But they do have some other twists and turns for the reboot, and I heard it did really well. And not just, I know critics are saying, yeah, it's pretty good. If I go see it and I'm let down, I'll let people know. Yeah, I didn't think it was as great as the first one. But sometimes, certain reboots, they sometimes get the source material a little bit better if it's based off of something. Or maybe it's a better cast of actors. You never know. That's why I say when it comes to reboots, and not as much as remakes, but reboot and remake are completely different. Remake is you take an idea that was already done and you completely change it around. The whole story. There's quite a few movies out there that are remakes. I can't think of any at the top of my head, but a reboot is where you take an idea and you put a whole new cast of actors in there with pretty much the same basis of the story, but you change quite a bit around in it. Hence, Child's Play is a reboot, not a remake. It's a reboot where more likely they're taking. I don't know what all they're doing with the movie. I don't know what they're doing with with the doll. He could still be possessed in a robotic doll, or it could be. Yeah. So it's a big difference between reboot and remake. Now, like I was saying, reboots, it's a two-sided coin. You're either going to like it or you're not going to like it.
Like I said earlier, Mike, I think this reboot of the Child's Play is going to be the flip of the bad side on this one. I just got that feeling.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make as much hype as they're trying to put into it. I don't think it's going to hit that quota.
What do you think about reboots and remakes, Cypher?
They suck. Plain and simple. They suck.
I do have an article here, and I can go over it. The 5 reasons why you shouldn't trust movie critics. This article was released 3 years ago on monstersandcritics.com. Number 1, and I'm pretty sure you guys can agree with this. Critics don't always appreciate the genres. Like, certain critics will give negative reviews to, like, a musical, let's say, because there's too much singing. Or maybe to a fantasy film because there's too many elves or maybe too many talking trees. Everybody has their favorite genres of movies. Like let's say with me, I mostly enjoy, like, at the very top, horror is my favorite genre, followed by action, and then comedy, thriller, because depending on the thriller, depending on the movie, it has to interest me. And then everything else falls underneath. I'll still watch those movies, but my favorite genre is horror, so I've seen a lot of good horror movies. I've seen some so-so. I've seen some ones that made me want to take the fucking movie back to the store, get a refund for it, you know. But, you know, critics, you know, when it comes to certain genres, you know, like, okay, as this article saying, surely there are many more terrible romantic comedies than there are good ones, especially nowadays, but that doesn't mean a new romantic comedy is automatically bad, or that it's bad because the person writing the review doesn't like romantic comedies. The same goes for like slapstick comedies, horror movies, or even children movies. Critics often don't know or acknowledge that a film can be quality material if they're even if they're not intended for the audience. How do you feel about that? That they don't appreciate the genre, which is I actually agree with that. You know, they don't appreciate the genre that certain films are in. Like, a critic can sit there and say they could talk shit on 5 horror movies in a row because they don't like horror movies. But then a comedy or action pops in. Oh, 2 thumbs up from us. If we could, we'd take our shoes off and give it 2 toes up.
Right.
Okay, number 2, they're cynical. Good films are about more than intellectualism. Oh, that's a big word I ain't seen in a while. And entertainment isn't a bad word, like some critics would have you believe, but the problem with critics is sometimes worse than that, because they can look down on the film simply for striving to evoke an emotional reaction in the audience. In the old days, if it was a good thing if a movie could make you laugh, cry, or feel inspired in some way. Now, those kind of films are easily labeled as maudlin, sentimental, or manipulative. Movie critics want to be aloof, and they rarely admit to being moved by something unless it errs on the pretentious side of to begin with. So when either you guys watch a movie, how do you feel after you watch something like, let's say, Ghost with Patrick Swayze, or Die Hard?
I tell you what, I gotta be in the mood to watch some of those kind of movies, man. It's like, if I just haven't seen something in a long time, it's like, man, I want to watch that again. I'll end up watching it, but you know, if it's something I've seen 1,500 times, I got to get myself motivated again to watch it for that extra 15th time. You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's a really good movie and has good action and it has like what I like inside of a movie or whatever, I'll watch it over and over and over and over and over.
I'm interested. Go ahead.
Like we'll take Star Trek for an example. With the new Star Trek Discovery that just came out, I've watched the last episode of Discovery 3 times because it was that good.
Wow.
Throughout the whole season 1, I wasn't really good about it. It had that political correctness in it. But when you got to season 2, I'm not going to give you the full story of it, but it actually was there. It was like, wow. Maybe after the first episode, but when you got the second episode onward, it was like, boom, right in your face. Like, okay, this is the Star Trek I remember.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm interested in hearing about how Cypher feels about that.
What about how I feel about watching movies?
Yeah, like how they make you feel. Like when you watch a movie, like it was saying in the article, critics can be cynical. You know, like they're trying to say, like, you know how like certain movies, when you watch them, you know, after you fully watch them, you have a certain feeling, like, you know, you laugh a lot and you got a good feeling. Or maybe you cry a lot during the film and you love it because it has a strong feeling to it. Like, you know, do you feel like critics are cynical because, you know, maybe they don't have, maybe their heart is not there, you know, with the movie, and they're trying to tell people, oh, this movie manipulates you?
Well, you see, kind of like how I view movies a lot. Like, horror movies, to me, I kind of view them as like dark comedies.
Yeah, you mentioned that before.
Half the time when I watch a horror movie, I'm laughing.
Yeah.
You know? I guess it's because I see the irony in things that other people don't sometimes. So, you know, for like a critic to watch something that I watch, we probably would disagree something fierce.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Just because some movies I feel nothing, and I just watch it, to watch it.
Yeah.
So some movies literally give me nothing to work off of. Some movies, because I did try to review movies in the past.
Yeah.
In an older project, if you remember.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And, sometimes it depends if you have a bias against certain actors, too. Like, for instance, me, something about Nicolas Cage with me. I just don't like him in a lot of roles they put him in. I mean, some roles he's perfect, but other roles he's not. So
he's kind of like the.
So I go into it with kind of a bias already, even though I don't want to, knowing that he's in it. You see what I'm saying?
He's almost like the Steven Seagal sort of.
So I mean, think of it as, say, a critic goes to watch something that has Mel Gibson in it after what came out about Mel Gibson with his girlfriend and stuff. You see what I'm saying? He's liable to have a stronger bias to it because of who's playing in it, instead of what it's actually about. And I think that's a problem with a lot of critics, is it's usually about who's in it, not what it's about.
Mm-hmm. That's like what I said earlier about Jack Black. Now, I love a good comedic actor. Don't get me wrong. I've seen quite a few movies with Jack Black in it. I've sat through and I enjoyed Shallow Hal. I've seen him in the movie Saving Silverman with, what the fuck was his name? The guy who fucked the pie. I've seen him in small roles, like the Cable Guy. Did I like him in School of Rock? No, it wasn't my cup of tea. I never saw Nacho Libre. I did see, Tenacious D, The Stick of Truth. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. But for whatever reason, there's something about Jack Black that I just don't find funny. I don't like watching him too much. But
he was also in what's the Enemy of the State, I think it was, with Hugh Jackman. Not Hugh Jackman. What's his fucking name?
I've never seen that. I know Hugh Jack. I know. No, is it Gene Hackman or Gene Hackman and Will Smith.
Yeah, he's in it. Jack Black's in it too.
That's like with the movie I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. He had a role in there. He was fucking annoying in that role.
Well, he was also in Tropic Thunder, which was pretty stupid. He played that one.
Yeah. Just like Jamie Foxx. I'm not a Jamie Foxx fan. I don't care too much for him.
Well, shit he pulled. I mean, that ruined his career. When he got all political, it killed his career.
That's why I don't. That's for the most part why I don't like him too. Like, okay, I sat through The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, my opinion, that movie was a bomb. I mean, it had some parts in it that was kind of entertaining, and I'll probably watch it again. But I was disappointed by the movie, and I was like, they're gonna cast Jamie Foxx in the role of Electro, and it didn't really fit it. His part was pretty corny. It was very cheesy. I didn't like him in that role. And does that mean, did that turn me off of all of his other movies? No, I know there's a lot of other movies out there with Jamie Foxx in it that are worth seeing. I'm just not a fan of him. And I'm not being cynical about, the one person. It's just, maybe, I've watched The Amazing Spider-Man, because not only is it a superhero movie, of course, maybe Andrew Garfield was not the perfect person for the role of, Peter Parker. I could say that, but then I look at a movie, oh god, I just watched it recently. Hold on a second.
Blade?
It's got Andrew Garfield in it. Andrew.
Yeah, Blade 3 has him in it.
Was he in it? He's 35 years old. Was he in it?
Yeah, he was in it. Third one, the very last one, he was part of that squad.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Oh, wasn't?
Andrew Garfield, he's 30. No, he wasn't in Blade 3. I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was.
He was in The Amazing Spider-Man. But I know the movie I was talking about, Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge. It was a war movie. Now, yeah, Hacksaw. It's let's see. It's in the 1920s. It has something to do with the Japanese attack in Pearl Harbor. After your
Forever,
Japanese. Okay, yeah. So it's during World War I or World War II, one of those things. But yeah, I didn't care too much for him in Spider-Man. I mean, he tried to fill the shoes, but you know, it fell short. But I liked him. I enjoyed him in the movie Hacksaw Ridge, which, since Cypher mentioned him, the movie is directed by Mel Gibson.
I tell you what, Mel Gibson has some good movies out there.
He does. He actually does.
The best one I think he did best was We Were Soldiers. Instant fucking seller.
Yeah.
If you're in a Vietnam War and you want to know about Vietnam War, that's a good movie to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably one of the ones. Passion of the Christ is a good one. Talks about it in the Catholic way. Gringo, which one was that Gringo one?
See, Mel Gibson. God, he's 63 years old. What the fuck was he all in?
He's still got life. But you know another one that you don't see much of? The Expendables.
Actually, they just released a second one.
No, they have 3 of them.
I thought they only had 2.
No, I think there's 3.
Hold on.
Because the other one had
Yeah, there's 3 Expendables movies.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of something else. I'm sorry. I was thinking about The Incredibles. I don't know why. Yeah, there are 3 Expendable movies.
Yeah, The Incredibles have 2, but Expendable has 3 with I love how they put
Damn it! They're supposed to make a 4th one. I want a 4th one.
Chuck Norris on there.
Yeah, Chuck Norris was in the second one. That one was pretty hilarious. No, he was in the second one.
I thought he was in the 3rd one.
No, the second one. 3rd one had Mel Gibson in it. The second one, let's see, the 3rd one had Stallone, Gibson, Statham, Harrison Ford, Antonio Banderas, Wesley Snipes, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, Terry Crews, Schwarzenegger, Jet Li.
Yeah,
and then you had the female cast, which also had Ronda Rousey in it.
Fuck Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, Expendables 2. Yeah, Expendables 2 had Chuck Norris in it.
Okay, so it was this.
Yeah, because he came in like halfway through when they were under fire by this fucking army of whoever the fuck it was, and then they all just fucking dropped dead, and Stallone's looking around like, "Who's firing? I don't know. I'm out of ammo." And then here comes fucking Chuck Norris around the corner. I was like, "Oh Jesus, of course." I'm like, "Of course Chuck Norris comes around the fucking corner." He's like, "Hey Barney, I felt you needed some help." Oh my god, I enjoyed those movies. They were pretty funny. God damn. Where is it? Okay, so getting back to the critics and all these shit talking critics. Number 3, critics often jump on the bandwagon. You might begin to notice an Emperor's New Clothes syndrome happening with reviews these days, where critics can be afraid to give a positive review to a movie that everyone else sees as bad. And the opposite is also true. Many movies that get a lot of Oscar buzz benefit from the fact that the few key critics decided they were great films, so everyone else was predisposed to like them. A strong general consensus on the movie can mean nothing. It's strange, but sometimes the world of people who write movie reviews is like a high school. Nobody wants to be the one to break from the crowd. And that's what I was saying earlier with movies that, you know, they give a lot of Oscars to, a lot of praise to. Like, it could be one of the best movies in decades, as they always hype it to be. 10 Oscars, nominated for 30, you know, award-winning actress Jodie Foster or some shit, you know. And they could say this is one of the best movies of all time. Am I going to go see it? No. I mean, if it's something that interests me, maybe. That's like with certain romantic comedies or, you know, romantic dramas. Yeah, I'm a fan of Ghost. I like Patrick Swayze. I love the movie Ghost. But if they were to make a sequel to it, no, I'm not going to fucking see it, you know? There's got to be something about a movie and about the formula with the movie, not just the actors, okay? You know, we got a whole slew of new actors that are coming onto the scene, you know, making a name for themselves, you know, big fame. And yeah, they're all doing pretty good. Look at all these young actors that were in, going back to Stephen King's It, the remake. Not the remake, the reboot, I should say. They all did a bang-up job. Maybe I'm going to see further movies, you know, where it has something to do with, you know, teenagers or kids, you know. It could be a good movie. I'll still see it because these young actors gave their all. But I done lost what I was saying. Yeah, Oscar-worthy movies. Now, do you guys think that when you hear about a quote-unquote Oscar-worthy movie, do you think it's absolutely worthy of an Oscar? Do you think it's actually lives up to the hype it's given by critics when they're saying that? Did I lose you guys?
I'm trying to figure out how to respond to that exactly.
Empire. I think we lost him again. Alright, so,
to me, it seems like the Emmys are, like, very shallow.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah. Definitely very shallow. Like, you take a movie, let's say, in my case, of course, I recently saw... Well, I put too much emphasis on Hellboy. Alright. Another movie not a lot of people like.
My thing is, the only people that ever end up on those stupid shows, right? Emmys, Grammys, whatever the fuck you want to call them, right? It's stuff that's supposedly popular or has big names in it. How come movies that star underdog actors and stuff never get recognized?
That's true.
But hey guys, I'm gonna have to hop off here. I gotta make a phone call. I'm gonna talk to my neighbor about something.
All right, man. Thanks for hopping on and all, man.
All right. I'll be back in later on.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Later, bro.
Yeah, like you said, the more underrated movies, the more underrated actors that actually put in a damn good performance. Like, let's go back to the 1970s at the most. If you're somebody into kung fu movies or whatever, actor Bruce Lee, everybody knows he's one of the best when it comes to the cinema and what he studies. I don't ever see one of his movies, you know, earning an Emmy or an Oscar or whatever, but he was a damn good actor. The choreography in the movies was phenomenal, but you don't see a whole lot of good recognition for those movies. Whereas you look at a movie today, like, let's say, going back to the 90s, Mr. Holland's Opus. I've never seen it. I don't know what the movie's about. Do I plan on watching it? Maybe. If it's something that interests me, if I were to read more into it, yeah, maybe I would tune into it. But, like you said, you know, a lot of these critics can be pretty shallow, like I was just reading. Some critics can be afraid to give a positive review about something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they give negative reviews to get people more interested in the movie. Maybe that's it. I don't know. You know, you're not going to give a movie a positive review, you know, and expect a great big audience to come out and see it. You know, you give it something negative. Like, take Pet Sematary, for example. I heard it got really good reviews. People are loving it. I'm not talking about critics. I'm talking about other people who see it, and they say it was really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was better than the first one. I thought it lived up to the first one. Whatever. You know, critics, they can give it the worst fucking review of all. If I hear word of mouth from somebody else saying that I loved it, I enjoyed it, and I myself want to go see it and check it out for myself, I'm still going to go see it. If I enjoy it, I get a good feeling about it, a good feeling out of it. You know, I'm not gonna be shallow or biased about it. You know, I'm either going to enjoy it or I'm not going to like it. And I can't even think of anything else on that. I think I dumped every ounce of fucking fact I can out of that one. I don't know if you have anything else to say on that topic right there.
Not really.
Okay, so let me speed up the process here a little bit. Number 4, critics are usually notoriously lazy. How many times have you read a review of a movie and seen it, and it seems like the person who wrote it didn't even watch the movie? They can be especially true with more seasoned critics. After a while, they've seen so many movies and they're so familiar with what Hollywood releases that they know whether they're going to like a movie before they walk into the theater. It's usually obvious when they didn't pay enough attention to a movie to give it a chance to disapprove a critic's preconceived notions. I guess I could feel that's true in a sense, that when you read a review, it almost feels half-assed. Like, if I were to read a review right now about, let's say, The Nun. I recently watched The Nun. Yeah, the lore, it's not based on anything real, but I did enjoy the story. I enjoyed the story, the twist with it, how it fit into the Conjuring universe with those movies. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the setting. It had a real gothic setting to it. I enjoyed the story, the lore behind the characters in the movie. So, what was I thinking about here? So, if I were to read a review on the movie, and I read what the review said, if let's say Cypher, let's just say Cypher reviewed The Nun. It said, okay, this is just another horror movie. It's based on a universe of other movies that's, haunting related. It was all paranormal. This movie was based on a nun who died, and the spirit of the nun comes back and haunts a church, and this and that happens, blah, blah, blah.
You know how I think they do half-assed reviews? Do you know how I think they do it?
What's that?
They read someone else's review and just take the cliff notes from it to make their own review.
Yes, I believe that too. And it's so easy to do that. All they got to do is read something.
If I'm not interested in a movie and I want to review it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'll put the movie on, but even I'll be honest, sometimes I'll just skim through the movie.
Yeah.
Because if it's just boring to me, I'll skim through it to see if there's a good part. You know what I mean? Yeah. If it picks up at all. And if it doesn't pick up, I won't actually review the movie because I'll just be like, it's too bland for me to even review.
Yeah.
Because the idea of reviewing something is you're looking for key parts. Even in the boring sections, you're looking for key parts. So when you really want to review something, you can't just watch it all the way through and review it. You got to watch it again. Or you got to have a DVD of it where you can go to certain parts to see got everything. That's how you do a thorough review.
Mm-hmm.
But I like I just said, though, I'm pretty sure they just copy someone else's review and just used cliff notes from it.
And that's like me. Like, when I did my brief review on Hellboy, as I stated, there's like a whole lot I can't remember from the movie. Like, I would have to go back and watch it a second time, but I remember certain key factors. Like, I enjoyed David Harbour's rendition of Hellboy itself. The comedic values, his attitude with the character. Mila Jovovich, she did an alright job with the Blood Witch. She wasn't terrible, she wasn't bad, but they didn't give her enough screen time to even really develop her character. It wasn't a terrible movie like they say, but it's worth giving it a shot. If you still hate it, that's all good in the end. But somebody like me, I actually enjoyed it. It's not up to par with, like, let's say Star Wars. Let's say Star Wars was a really big financial, I don't want to say bomb or anything. People didn't like The Last Jedi. But, let's say The Last Jedi was better than Hellboy. That's not going to kill it for me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed The Last Jedi. I enjoy movies like that. And, half-assed reviews, it doesn't give the whole story behind something you want to see. You only hear, like you said, key points. Certain key things that somebody can point out, or they can just say, okay, I'm going to read this review from the New York Times. Let's say the New York Times did a full-on negative review. Somebody didn't like it and they posted it in there. So let's say Cypher looks at the New York Post or the New York Times and he's like, okay, this highlights it. Okay, here's my review on it. They say, okay, this movie is dull and bland. This movie is dark in tone. The actors don't fit the parts. What do I give this movie? A 1 out of 5. And that's pretty it. They pretty much look at somebody else's work. They twist the words around, to make sure it's not being, they're not plagiarizing someone else.
Without critiquing it at all.
Yeah. And they give their own review about it. And that's being very lazy. And then, of course, the fifth and last one, they often lacked credibility. When you think about what the internet has done to movie critics, these days anyone can be a critic, and if you have a blog that looks somewhat professional, you can be taken seriously. But why should you listen to hundreds and hundreds of people with opinions online? Gone are the days when critics studied film theory and wrote analytical pieces for newspapers and magazines. The best of the old-fashioned critics are getting old and out of touch or have long passed that stage. Quite a few of the new ones know less about movies than you do. This just so happens to have found a venue for their thoughts. They also have an audience that didn't exist 10 years ago. So, even if you look on Facebook, if you're lucky enough to find 10 other people who share the same opinion with you, then you got yourself your own little critique in a way. It's like, okay, I think this movie's a piece of shit. Then I look online, I say, oh, Cypher says the same thing. I thought it was a piece of shit. I didn't enjoy it. And then Wolf comes in and says, yeah, I didn't like it myself. Then you got your own little critique right there. I think, my opinion, of course, everybody's their own critic. You either like it or you don't like it. But when it comes to film critics, it's not completely terrible to listen to what somebody else says, but you don't want somebody pushing their opinion on you and saying, don't see it. I don't recommend you seeing it. I didn't like it personally. I don't like somebody pushing their opinion on me without me actually checking out a film. And it's not just movies it relates to. It's all other kind of media. It can be music, it could be video games, it could be books, it could be board games, anything of that nature. If I like it, I like it. I'm like, I don't want somebody to push their shallow opinion on me about something that, they don't recommend. And I see it online all the time. Yeah, you rather form your own opinions. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can hear what somebody else says about it, but, judge it for yourself pretty much. But then there's websites, and we'll close this off too with the website, Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes has been around for so many years. So many. Why are you not a moderator? Why am I not your moderator? You should be. You got the little thing? Yeah, you are a moderator, Wolf. You got the little sword next to your name. I don't know why you don't see you're a moderator. I'm looking right at it. You are a moderator. Or why am I not your I don't know what you're talking about. Well, then again, Riddle was having issues last night where he couldn't say certain things in the chat last night, even though I turned off the auto mod. That racist bastard. You don't see it? I'm looking right at it. I'm looking at it in OBS, and even when I pull up the browser, you got the little sword next to you. I don't know why it's not showing it for you. You're there. Automod's revenge. Probably. But when it comes to, actual critics, yeah, take it as it is. But, when you got a website where somebody's reviewing on a website, I think, something like Rotten Tomatoes, it's very biased. It's very diverse when it comes to I don't think it's particularly, genres, because I've seen Rotten Tomatoes give like a fresh rating of 100% on a horror movie. Same thing with certain other. So it's not biased toward the genres, but I don't think they give it all when it comes to certain movies. Like I said, they shat on certain movies in the superhero genre. Like I said, Justice League, Batman vs Superman, even some other movies. Like I think Captain Marvel got some mediocre reviews too. Actually, let me check that out. So if I go to, and if I look up Captain Marvel, the film. Okay, so Captain Marvel has grossed in, $1.9 billion at the box office. Yet if you look at let's see, the audience response, Cinema Score, okay, that's another one. They gave it like an average grade of A. Then, of course, if you look at ahead of the film's release, all right, this is before Captain Marvel came out. Captain Marvel's Want to See score, an audience anticipation poll on Rotten Tomatoes, had fallen to 28%. Reports described the decline as an effort by some to review bomb the film's page with negative comments attacking the film, and Larson, the main actor, Brie Larson, for their perceived feminism. Rotten Tomatoes had changed the Want to See feature shortly after that. So now, after that, the film holds a 33% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And currently, the audience score is at 56%. So, you gotta figure, a movie this good, and people have enjoyed it. A movie that has grossed $1.9 billion at the box office. And you got a critic score of 56% on a website. Like, are you really going to go and listen to what these reviewers have to say about it? Especially before the film even comes out. Oh, like I said earlier, a week before a film comes out, several days before a film comes out, you're going to give it a low rating because maybe you don't like... It's like you guys said earlier, maybe they don't like a certain actor for a certain reason. Like in Captain Marvel, something about Brie Larson's feminism, maybe the character, maybe the actress, I don't know, something about feminism in the movie. Maybe that's a reason why they were like, okay, fuck this film, 33%, fuck her, whatever. You know what? That didn't matter, because people still paid to see this movie, and they enjoyed it. And I can see why review websites like maybe Cinema Score, whatever, I guess it was Cinema Score, that was the other one that was doing it, Cinema Score, but mostly Rotten Tomatoes. People look to Rotten Tomatoes for the best score possible, the best review possible on a movie, but that's where I feel it's destroying cinema viewing for people who want to view movies. These are people who every day go to work. Oh shit, what was that? I don't know if you heard that on your end.
What the hell was that?
I don't know, maybe it was the hamburger I had yesterday. And the room cleared in silence.
It couldn't have been deadly. It wasn't silent, whatever it was.
So, maybe it was the wild hubba in the bathroom taking a shit. I don't know. I told him not to eat 2 bags of Doritos. I told him to limit himself to half a bag a day, motherfucker.
Even you get away. I make beautiful artworks.
Oh, God, wild hubba used. No, you let me listen now. God damn. He was, what was his level? His level was gay bastard and all that.
Hey, it was a phrase he used.
Yep. So, anyway, my closing remark on it is these websites, I believe personally they're damaging the image that we have, with movies. Or as I was actually saying before that explosion, actors and actresses, these are hard-working people. A lot of people, maybe you don't understand or realize it, that these people, that's their job. These are actual people who went to school, graduated high school, went off to college, film school, to study what they wanted to be. This was their lifelong dream of being an actor, going to acting school. They go to work every single day. You don't understand. These people work 6 to 7 days a week, 12, 14-hour shifts, putting together, filming these movies, producing these movies, acting in these movies, giving it their all. And they put these movies together. And right before it hits theaters, you have a review website, such as RottenTomatoes.com, shitting all over your work, saying they don't like your work, saying your work is pathetic, it's gross, it's stupid, it's the worst they've ever seen. They give you a fucking rating of 4%, 20%, 30%, whatever, because they don't like you as an actor, or they don't like that type of film, or they don't like the genre that film is in. And I'm like, just let the people see it. I'm willing to spend $10 to $15 on a ticket to go see this movie. If it's bad, okay. I know I won't be buying it digital. I won't be buying it on DVD. Maybe I'll wait till it comes out on Betamax. I don't know. I'll wait till it comes out on Beta. or CVC or whatever the fuck those older video formats are, Does anybody know what a Betamax is in the chat? I hope you're old enough to know what Betamax is. How about VHS? Those little fucking rectangular black boxes that go into these, it looks, I know it's scary, it kind of looks like a DVD player, but it's not really a DVD player, it's a VHS player. You push it in, and there's some little gears and gadgets in there that whirl around and expand the tape from the little box, and you hit the play button, and you gotta fast forward, stop, rewind. Yeah, I know it's all too, it's too advanced for you, I know. Or the fact that maybe you don't feel like waiting for a VCR to rewind a tape. You can actually pull the VHS out and put it in another electronic box that rewinds the tapes for you. But then again, us as human beings back in the 80s and 90s, we were too lazy to hit that rewind button. We were too lazy to wait that 3 or 4 minutes for a VHS to rewind. So what do? We put it back in the box and we take it back to Blockbuster. And of course, we may get fined for it, even though they say be kind, rewind, and we don't. What was that, a fucking fine of 80 cents that, you didn't rewind the tape, so now we got to put it in our magical box and rewind it back?
They never took that sign down back when DVDs came out.
Hey kids, have you ever rewound a DVD? Is that what? Do you take the DVD player apart and then you spin it backwards? It goes one way. I think it goes clockwise. Have you ever tried spinning it counterclockwise to rewind a DVD? Or here's a little history lesson for you kiddies. If you do that to a vinyl record, some will have subliminal messages in them. So maybe that album of Black Sabbath is actually telling you to worship the devil. No, what was it? It was Chicago. It was Chicago. I am Lucifer, bow to me, or some shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Chicago kicks ass. Love it or hate it, Rotten Tomatoes. I love Little Nicky. That was one of my favorite movies growing up.
There's only 2 movies I like with Adam Sandler in it, and that's The Waterboy and Little Nicky.
Yep. That's another actor. Like, I don't like his I don't like his performances nowadays. I think they're too bland. I think he's overdone it. I'll stick to, your Billy Madisons and your Happy Gilmores, Little Nickies. Like, when it comes to his movies, I'll go as far as 50 First Dates, which I actually enjoyed. It wasn't that great of a movie, but I enjoyed it. Him and Drew Barrymore, together, and of course Rob Schneider. But after that, I think he went downhill with his acting. Look at Jack and Jill. Oh God. So I gave my closing remarks. Do you have any closing remarks on what you feel about today's topics, or even with the critics and Rotten Tomatoes and all that good stuff?
I don't really have too much to say that I haven't already said.
Yeah, I think we pretty much got it all out there. Alright, so we'll go ahead and close this out. So I guess we're on par with Saturday talking about witchcraft, or do you have another topic you want to cover with that?
No, witchcraft is fine with me.
Alrighty. So, any of you guys in the chat watching, thank you for joining us today. Batman Gaming, my buddy Mike, definitely check him out. He came in, he popped his head in here and said some nice things earlier when we were talking about racism in games, and of course it got all a little off topic. It's a good topic, Empire. We'll talk about
that was partially my fault, though.
Well, I mean, it made for a good topic. I mean, since we're talking about like racism in video games, it kind of expands out a little bit. So we definitely gave you kiddies a history lesson, and it's like, okay, if you don't learn it in school, come here. You'll learn it first here. the history books of Cypher Xavier. We're going to publish and print them, We're going to charge $15 a book. It's going to be worth it.
Oh, man, I just thought how much the politicians would be pissed if I were to actually publish my own history books.
The underground.
I wouldn't leave anything out.
Yeah. This is what your history teachers don't want you to learn. This is what the liberals don't want you to learn. Well, tough shitsky. Because I'm Polish. I have a Polish background, and that's what my dad has always said. Well, tough shitsky.
It's alright. Uncle Arrow, Uncle Cypher, and Uncle Empire will set you straight.
Yep. The book will be released in 2 weeks, okay, sir? Anyway, thank you to my buddy Mikey, Empire, and Wolf for joining us in the chat today, as always. Thank you for checking in with us. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to check out our main streaming channel, twitch.tv/arrowwithaname. Thank you for tuning in as well and watching us. We will be back this Saturday through an all-new episode of Through the Doorway, and we do have a nice little backdrop on it, too. I did give a kind of a sneak peek the other night of it, and it looks pretty dope. Do you have the stream up on your TV as well as we're talking, or?
Yeah.
All right. Here is what it looks like. It might have a little delay on it. I'll keep it up for a few seconds. It looks like it's like a 5 or 10 second delay.
Yeah, that looks like it will do.
Yeah. Because I figured, I kept the fog in there. The lighting didn't do all that well. I looked at it. I was like, it kind of looks like...
The door looks ominous enough. I like that.
Yeah. Especially with how I got the lettering on there. It almost kind of looks like Michael Jackson Thriller. But yeah, I figure, something gave me an idea for it, give us a little bit more ominous appeal to it.
Well, things will switch up over time, got to keep things fresh.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I do like the original. I still like the original Through the Doorway, and, more likely we will use it again, in the future.
And then I made promo things, just to promote it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll definitely, change is always good, So also, guys, be sure to check out our new teammate Loki. He is also on Twitch. Check him out, twitch.tv/LokiHardcore. I didn't get a chance to check out his recent streams. I gotta go back and rewatch them, because every time you message me that he's streaming, I'm always in the middle of something. I'm like, god damn it, I can't even stop what I'm doing.
Don't feel bad. That happens with me a lot with him too.
Yeah. I also know my buddy Mikey, he's over at twitch.tv/Batman_gaming_2019. Like I said, I made a Twitch channel for him, so he started streaming himself. He's enjoying it. It's something that he wanted to do. I helped him out a little bit with that. And of course, we got Wolf. Hopefully, he'll be getting back into streaming here soon. He's had a string of bad luck hit him hard, but prayers are with you, Wolf, as always. And like I said, I may stream, I may do another game stream tonight. If not, I'll do something tomorrow, guys. If not, you will see us back here on Saturday for Through the Doorway with our host, Cypher, and me, of course. And to all, a good night. See you all later.